waited all winter for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael DIY, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Aric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a William Byron type of weekend. He was the big winner down in Martinsville, getting his third clock. Slick Willie, 3 clocks now, baby. But first, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast available every Monday night. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon, iHeart Music. I don't even remember what I'm saying now. And on YouTube every Monday night, you can see our beautiful faces. Make sure you tell all your friends. We're independent. We're doing it ourselves, and we need your help spreading the word because right before the show, we ran the numbers, and we're about $1,200 in debt running this podcast, and that doesn't even include the equipment I bought. That's just to put it on the internet for people to download.
That's just all the beer we've gotten for Daytona to get through these episodes.
We're all hard, baby. We're all hard.
But yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. But fellas, how was your weekend? Big weekend for Matt and your kid. What was going on there?
Yep. Jackson, I'm proud of him. He finally graduated high school, so it was a big weekend. No, he got baptized. So, usually I don't know what the age is. Usually they're like little babies. He's almost 2, and we're finally like, we should probably get that done, huh?
I think that's normal, right?
Huh?
I think that's normal, right? Isn't it? Or is it like a little bit?
I think most people usually get them done like early on, but yeah. So that was his first experience in church because we don't go to church like ever. Yeah. And so that was funny. He was dancing to the music when they were singing and stuff. And so me and him in church together were a real bad combination. Just I don't know who's the worst influence, him or me. So but yeah, we got that done.
Just your wife smacking both of you guys on the side.
About the whole thing was just getting to see family. So some family time on Saturday night, and then once a year, I go back to being 12 years old again, and it's WrestleMania weekend, and so Saturday and Sunday night, it's now a 2-night event. It was one night back when we were kids, but it's a 2-night event. So I spent Saturday and Sunday night watching WrestleMania and just channeling my inner 12-year-old. And so there were some nostalgic moments that happened that was pretty cool. But nice little weekend. We've got the Masters next weekend. We're in a sneaky good time of the year for sports.
You know what? Everyone on the internet said Martinsville sucks. So welcome to the Boots to Faces podcast. I'm your host, Michael DIY, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Aric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys have yourselves a Cody Rhodes type of weekend. He was the big winner last night at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. But no, was it good? I missed last night. I heard it was amazing.
It was awesome, man. Like I said, I don't know the storylines because I don't watch it throughout the year, but they fill you in. They do a really good job of kind of filling you in, and it was awesome, man. Like The Rock was wrestling this weekend. The Undertaker came back. John Cena, all these guys that we watched growing up, came back. So it was cool.
Nice. How about you, Aric? How was your weekend? What'd you do all weekend?
A little bit of rest and relaxation for me. Went out Friday night, watched a little trucking, got a little wild for that. Of course you have to, It's trucking season.
Aric texted us on Friday. He's like, getting wild for the trucks. I'm like, nah, I got Jackson's baptism tomorrow. I don't want to be hungover for that. And then here we go. The trucks come on and I'm drinking IPAs and I'm getting into the race. You can't stay sober during them trucking races.
You can't. So I got it all out of my system Friday. It was more, laying on the couch for the rest of the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And I'm gonna say it. I don't agree with the internet.
I don't agree
either
with the internet either. We'll get into it. But first, we got a little NASCAR news to talk about. Not a whole lot of news, to be honest with you. Kind of had a pull for stories this week. But if you're interested in going to Wilkes County for the All-Star race, North Wilkesboro has tickets available. That race, of course, next month. And then Justin Alexander returning as the crew chief for Austin Dillon for like the fourth time. Justin Alexander, if you don't know, is the only crew chief that Austin Dillon has wins with in the Cup Series. And he's been trying to get off the road for years now. And apparently AD just keeps pulling him back out there. And I don't know where he finished this week. We'll get into it later on. But that's all the NASCAR news I have for this week, guys. Did you see anything to add to NASCAR news or no?
News is tough during the season. I don't like it's my feed
quiet.
Gets filled with the week before, and then just like here, it goes into the preview for the next. And to be honest, if I'm not really digging and looking for a certain news piece, man, it gets lost in the feed sometimes if it's not something major, you know?
Yeah, mostly all I saw was like sponsorship news and stuff like that. So
Twitter beef is mainly what I see during the season.
Yeah.
We had some great Twitter beef this week, too.
Well, I mean, we could get into that. Do you want to get into the Denny Hamlin, Marcus Smith Twitter beef?
This would be a good time to do that. Yeah, it's a newsworthy item for sure because it kind of wraps in the contracts and the charter negotiations. So, yeah, let's do that.
So over, what was it? It was like Wednesday of last week. One of those days.
Something like that, yeah.
Denny Hamlin got into it with Twitter with Marcus Smith over Sonoma. Just got repaved. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, I think, in the news that the repave was done. And it's already lifting in one of the corners. And basically, Denny said, this is what happens when you cheap out, you know? And not Marcus Lemonis, he runs Camping World. Marcus Smith got really mad about it, started tweeting back at Denny Hamlin because he doesn't have a championship, which I felt like it was a weird cop-out. I didn't even think that was a good got ya.
That's how I knew he got.
Yeah.
Because he immediately took it personally and had to go personally at Denny. He felt that, and that was emotional reaction right there.
Yeah. And then
it's the only thing you could go at Denny for. It's such a low hanging fruit. It's like, what are we doing?
It might as well be like one of those apples that falls off the tree and just sits there and rots all summer long. The little crab apples. That's how low hanging of a fruit it is to make fun of Denny for not having a championship. So then
it doesn't even bother Denny. Like Denny's like, I know. He's over.
He's fully aware, right?
He's got what, like 54 wins, 57 wins, something.
Let's put it this way: when he gets put on the Hall of Fame ballot, every single person is going to vote for him.
No, there's
maybe
always
not every
one
single
guy,
person because Jimmy Johnson didn't get every single person, but he'll win first. He'll get in first ballot.
Absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer. But essentially he kind of came back at Marcus Smith and said like, well, you might as well give up your company now before you ruin the legacy your dad gave you or something like that. And there was a little bit of back and forth. They deleted it the next day too. I guess both guys kind of felt bad about it in retrospect. But so then the second piece, and I just sent it to you guys not too long ago. I saw a tweet, and I guess it was something that was brought up during the teardown. Jordan Bianchi brought it up. I didn't listen to the whole episode this week, but there's a belief, quote, that Speedway Motorsports is not willing to take a greater cut that they want to, and because of this, it's kind of holding up things charter negotiation wise to some degree. And then this Break Hard podcast or blog that was tweeting it, he brought up currently tracks receive 65% of TV revenue. That's for the new deal as well. And teams receive 25%, which of course teams want a bigger cut of the pie. That's what they've been saying this whole entire time. Denny Hamlin especially. So now it kind of makes sense that SMI and Marcus Smith are kind of holding up the charter deal for these guys to get paid more. And it's
which would explain why Denny went at Marcus Smith, because it's like, dude, you're holding up the whole freaking sport right now. And it's like, Whitey, if you still have it, if it's not too much trouble, read the numbers too.
So if you do the math, SMI has 15 dates, including COTA, which they don't own the track, but they do lease it for that event. So they receive roughly $230 million per season. That doesn't include ticket sales, concessions, merchandise, or parking. So add all that on top of it. This is just guaranteed money that they're already getting. And then
for 15 weeks.
Yep. And then all of the teams get half of that divided between them, essentially. So I don't know how many teams there are with charters, because some have 4, some have 3, some have 2. I don't know. But essentially what it is a track owner and a team owner going at it on Twitter, and a little bit of hurt feelings. But if you missed that, they're deleted now. There's tons of screenshots out there for you to check out, though. But what did you guys think? Because I think Denny is kind of in the right a little bit.
Yeah.
If those, and I guess we kind of have to qualify all this by saying if those numbers are accurate and if that's true, then shame on that greasy
palm deals
snake oil salesman Marcus Smith, because I personally shook that motherfucker's hand walking into Dover Motor Speedway, and I personally, to his face, thanked him for what he does for NASCAR. And if this is true, where he is holding up the charter deals, fuck him, because that's bullshit, man. He looked at all those fans walking into that track that day, and he knew that he was robbing everybody. And if it's true, there's no room for that in this sport.
This was at Dover Motor Speedway, which he had purchased a season or two before that to take away one of our playoff dates for Dover and give it to Nashville Super Speedway, which I'm not going to lie, the racing has been pretty good there. But he bought it up, and I'm kind of fearful that I have tickets to see Dover this week, or not this week, in 2 weeks. I'm fearful this might be the last opportunity to see Dover. I don't know. You never know.
That place has been packed the last 2 years.
I mean, but if he wants to take that date and push it somewhere else, who knows?
See, and I heard a little bit of like that too, where he's taking a lot of that TV money and putting it towards these new fancy projects. And in all reality, he's not putting them back into the actual facilities that are already there and are used for the 36 weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
And people are kind of getting irritated about that as well. Like, hey, I know you want to build this new track and try this out and go here and do this and do that
and all this stuff. But how about the grandstands?
Right. How about you're letting all your tracks that are going now go to shit,
Yeah. I mean, so what should we call it? Right. So we're going to get into it probably later on, just the short track debate and everything. But right now, this car performs best on intermediates, right? There's a whole Kentucky Speedway that we could be racing at. The problem is they never invested in the parking lot or the infrastructure to get cars off the highways. So it was always a big jam up and people didn't want to go to the track. That track's just wasting away. And
same with Chicagoland.
Same with Chicagoland, although I think NASCAR owns Chicagoland, but still the same deal. If you're not investing in the infrastructure of your track, and that means, grandstands and bathrooms and all the amenities that make it comfortable for a fan to come, lights, all that stuff. If you're not investing in that and that starts falling apart, well, why are people going to want to show up and sit in a shitty grandstand?
You know who does a really good job with keeping up on all that and updates and making things look good, and there's new mezzanine and everything? You know who does a really good job at that? Coming close. Really, I want to whisper this so all the haters don't hear the dirty little secret. Pocono Raceway does a great job at all of this.
Just like us, they're independent. They answer to nobody but NASCAR. Well, no, they don't. I don't know. Anyways, I agree though. Like, think about all the little improvements that we take pride in when we go to Pocono. It's like, oh, you want to show people like, oh, they just built like that kid zone and the dog park and shit. Like, the first thing I point out to my girlfriend when I go to Pocono is like, hey, check out the dog park. She sees the dogs running. I mean, it's exciting and stuff, But yeah, it's those little things. So yeah, fuck Marcus Smith, I guess. I don't know if it's all true. If it's not,
it's all true.
If it's all
if
true,
not, our bad.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we all know who Denny is. And I think when Denny goes out there on a limb like that, that's Denny. Denny knows stuff. He's in there. He's not just a driver anymore. You got to realize that. This, like Whitey said, this is an owner team owner versus track owner here. Like Denny has a lot more pull, and he now knows the inner workings being an owner, not just a driver anymore. So I'd go to bat and say that whatever Denny's saying, I'd believe it.
Brad Keselowski gets a lot of the credit for being like one of the smartest drivers in the garage. And I'm telling you right now, Denny's up there too. Everything Denny seems to say or do, especially on social media and his podcast, it's on purpose. There's a reason behind it. Like he's calculated. Like he's not, to me at least, I mean, I don't know the guy, but to me at least, he's always seemed like he went at Marcus Smith for a specific reason. Yeah. And with the information that we now know about SMI and the deal with the charters, it would make sense why he has a lot of frustration, why it built up enough for him to go at him in public.
Because Denny's been leading this fight to get race teams more money too. Mm-hmm. Because I think he quickly realized like it's not easy making money in NASCAR for the teams. Nope. Apparently it's super easy if you own a track though, So like, I mean,
if you were given tracks from your daddy.
Yeah. But like what good is a track without team owners on it? Like it's like the chicken or the egg, like, can you put on a show if your owners can't afford to show up? Like why aren't they making a good bulk of it?
Teams are and always will be more important than any individual track. They're the ones who come out.
It's mimicking the real world. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy.
And you want to know what too? Fuck NASCAR in general over this too, because they own a good chunk of tracks. So not only do they get 65%, they get 65% of the television revenue for their tracks that they own. They also get a percentage of the television revenue as the sanctioning body. And then they get money from the tracks for sanctioning fees and all that stuff. So like they're double dipping on it too. So they're just as guilty.
But they can't supply a valid amount of practice every week so that these teams could dial the cars in, and you could have some cars, a few tenths faster than the cars behind them, so you actually have good racing. Well, but no. Let's not invest in a practice at all. No.
Well, when the TV partners are paying the bills, the TV partners pull the strings, and they want an hour practice, they get an hour practice. They want a half hour practice, they get a half hour practice.
The podcast is going to pull out. We're not going to do this again.
No,
we're never going to do this if NASCAR keeps their shit up.
I'm sick and tired of being disrespected over the lack of practice. It sucks as a fan though, because what do you see all the time too? When people talk about not wanting to go to track, where it's like, well, you've taken a 4-day weekend of on track activity and you condensed it down to 2 days. So like, why should I camp in the infield when nothing's going on? Even at our home track at Pocono, where we all look forward to camping every year, Friday night, there's usually an ARCA race. They took the ARCA race away from us. That's one less thing for us to enjoy when we're down there, where it's like, why show up on Thursday? Why not show up on Saturday morning when everyone else is getting there?
One last thing. So the ARCA is not going to be there, but I'm going to be there this year, Whitey. I'm coming back, true, baby. So it's a wash. Or maybe a net negative of 2. I'm not.
I don't know. We'll see what happens July 14th weekend. We'll see how you perform. You haven't been in Pocono in a while. Yeah,
I'm gonna perform just like I always have.
Get real drunk the first night and then be sick the rest of the weekend.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I'll be right there with you, brother. Like, Thursday, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm gonna be real easy throwing up by the end of the night. Anyways, we got a race weekend to talk about down in Martinsville. We were talking about trucking on a Friday, and Christian Eckes walked away with the trophy and hopefully a Long John Silver's fish platter for the Long John Silver's 200. You guys watched the race. I didn't get a chance. I saw like bits and pieces in passing. Saw some chaos near the end there, and I saw Timmy Hill particularly angry with Stuart Friesen over getting wrecked. So
you didn't see chaos, buddy. You saw trucking.
We saw trucking. It was
trucking.
Trucking Friday night.
I went out to the bar to watch this race, and I'm going to be honest. I think I talked more, and the crowd at the bar was more excited talking about Long John Silver's than the actual race itself. Yeah. Man, as soon as they saw it was the Long John Silver's 250, the whole bar just started exchanging their best Long John stories back and forth. Oh my God, I went to this Long John's. How about the Crumblies? The Hush Puppies are so good. Oh my God. Everybody, dude, like, but then you see the memes on the internet. Who's keeping Long John Silver's alive? Well, I figured it out this past weekend. Who's keeping Long John Silver's alive?
The patrons of Dowson's Sons and Grub.
That's right.
Listen, we're hurting for Long John Silver's right now. We used to have 4 in the Wyoming Valley. We're down to 2, and that's too few for me.
I only know 1.
So, whatchamacallit? So we have Edwardsville now. We used to have Wilkes-Barre, and we used to have.
Does Dixon City still have one?
We had Music and Dixon City. Dixon City is still open, and Dixon City.
Okay, Music one closed. Yeah.
Music and Wilkes-Barre are both being turned into Starbuckses.
Yeah, the one in Wilkes-Barre is completely destroyed. They tore it down already.
Yeah, it's going to be a Starbucks.
But the one in Dixon City, Business Route 6 in Dixon City, that's a Long John Silver's / A&W. So you get a nice cold root beer in a frosty mug.
Long John Silver's is well worth the risk you have to put your life at to go on to Business Route 6.
Yeah, if anyone's not from the Wyoming Valley of Pennsylvania, Business Route 6 is one of the most treacherous business highways. It is like a 4-lane highway with malls and shopping centers all around it, and people just drive like animals. I mean, insane, me included. So you got
it's the Alabama gang backstretch on Business Route 6.
It is.
One wrong turn and you're wadding up a whole bunch of them.
One wrong turn and you're truck racing, baby. Honestly, you got to be careful out there.
For sure.
Was that guy just truck racing?
Speaking of a crazy backup, though, the Xfinity race ended with Aric Almirola taking home the trophy. But how about Brandon Jones stacking up the whole entire outside line?
It was bad. That was bad.
That was so bad.
It was
I forgot all about that.
It's the only thing I remember from the Xfinity race. I watched the whole entire Xfinity race this weekend, got a little tipsy on IPAs. All I remember is Brandon Jones missing that shift and just causing mayhem. But Aric Almirola won, so it looks like dropping down the Xfinity Series, working out for the veteran, too. Did you guys get a chance to see any of that? I know Matt saw like half of it.
The race was good racing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And once again, I'll say it just like I did a few weeks ago. I think it's okay when the Xfinity race is either as good or better than the Cup race. I just, because it was. And sometimes that's going to happen. And I'm at the point where I think that's perfectly fine. And, we talked about this before, where, NASCAR, are they trying to promote the Xfinity as a separate entity? If they are, then by all means, it has every right to be better than another show of the weekend.
Yeah.
If they want to make it that way and kind of advertise it that way. But I don't know. To me, I think the Xfinity race might have been a little bit better this weekend in my eyes.
I mean, how many times... I'm sorry. How many times is a college football game or a college football Saturday better than an NFL Sunday?
Oh yeah. Oh, all the time.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Now we're especially at short tracks. We're going to see that I think all season with the Xfinity Series definitely running better than the Cup Series.
I disagree with what you're saying, man. You said sometimes the Xfinity Series is better than the Cup Series, and that's okay. I disagree with that. Oftentimes the Xfinity Series is better than the Cup Series. It really is. That series is so much. They just need, and I get they have Austin Hill. They just need a superstar. Like we had the 2010s. Like we had a handful of them that were coming up, and we're kind of missing that a little bit. Austin Hill is obviously a superstar, but like they had Noah Gragson was a superstar personality, and they just need a couple more of those guys, I think. But regardless, that car is a superior product to the Cup Series in my mind.
I agree. And for all the old haters of the car tomorrow, it's the same platform. They never changed it. So
my thing with those Xfinity cars and I think why at certain tracks like these, the shorter tracks, they're better is because the drivers know they can't afford to either beat or bang or smash in because you're going to cut a tire, you're going to bang your fender in. I think the cars are a little too tough now. And I think, you know, those Xfinity cars, you can still dent that fender in. You can get a tire rub real bad. And like, you know, you have to drive differently in that aspect. And I think Denny kind of hinted on it in a couple of clips I saw where, you know, he said he tried booting Hendrick out of the way. It was 2 laps down. He couldn't even do it because the cars were too stuck to the ground.
Too stable.
Dude, they're too hard. They're too hard to move out of the way.
There was a tire rub, a good one, a tire rub that ended up busting a tire. It must have been the Truck Series, either on Friday or last week or somewhere along the lines. And I was just like, holy shit, we don't get tire rubs in the Cup Series anymore. Like, when's the last time you saw a tire smoking up because the sheet metal was
hated
that last generation of car.
I absolutely hated when our tire got cut down.
I did too, but now I'm longing for it.
Tire, oh my God! But
I'm longing for like it now.
Not for as like it was, something in the middle.
You know, you want to know what though? You know what though? We've just given up cut tires for broken whatchamacallit? Tie rods.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
Like it, and you want to know what? I would rather that too, because at least then your day's not ended. You know?
Yeah, but a cut tire would happen way more often than these tie rods are going.
Yeah,
it happened a lot.
Like at a place like Martinsville, dude, your tire, you're cutting a tire down. If you go into that corner and you know you're going to door and wash up or you're going to pin the guy down low, you know that there was a very good chance in that last restart, if this was in 2010, 2013-ish in there would have been 8 cars with smoking tires coming from that front couple rows, because everybody's going to rub, everybody's going to bang, someone's going to cut a tire. But you said, fuck it, I got to risk this move to, if I get a cut tire down, hopefully it lasts half a lap.
You held your breath every time your driver got sideswiped by another car, because it's like, oh, is he going to get a tire up? Oh my God, I see smoke.
Yeah.
Oh God, is he going to make it to the end? You know, but
it's like
there was a little bit of
went away.
drama.
It's like all the smoke went away. It rubbed the lettering off. We're good, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? So I don't know. Let's get into it a little bit, right? Because people hated this race. I don't know if we want to jump into the race grades yet, but
let's jump into it. Let's get into it, because go ahead.
Well, first I want to get, so everyone's shitting on just the short track package in general. Everyone says, oh, we need more horsepower. But I'm just thinking of other things that we could do here too, right? So one thing, you just brought it up. We have composite bodies on the Cup cars now. Go back to metal. I don't know if it's possible, but if it is, go back to metal. So then you have those tire rubs. Then you have more body damage. You have something to add to the lack of downforce, where it's like, oh, you're taking downforce away because now your fender's all smashed in. Like, you don't see smashed up cars that much anymore. 2, smaller brakes at short tracks. They brake too well. And 3, change the gearing in the transmission. Because who was it? Martin Truex Jr. had an issue, just dropped a gear.
Dude, Joey Logano on like lap 13 smashed into the back of Marty in one of the corners, and all Marty did was drop a gear, and by corner exit, he had 3 car lengths on him.
Yeah. So
it's like that shouldn't, like, Joey should have been able to move him off to the side, no problem. And in years past, Marty would have been moved off to the side and back five positions.
I think that's one of the major issues, is being able to shift and kind of save it. And people in the industry have been talking about that for 3 years now, where it's like too easy to make a mistake and then not pay the penalty of that mistake. You know?
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you one thing too, that I think I see a lot of people, like you said, like, okay, they're bitching about this package. They're bitching about this next gen car. I don't know. I'm on the opposite end of this than most media and everyone is, about them ripping this car up. Like, I saw Jeff Gluck talking about it, where he is so doom and gloom.
He's the most negative person.
I don't know if I could listen to him anymore because of how negative he is. And it was just like, to me, I was listening to him and I'm like, why do you have to go about it this way? This is you and your thought process and why it's going that way. You know, It was all negative. Oh, well, what was positive out of this race? Like, why did there have to be anything positive out of the race to begin with? Why can't it just be a race?
Yeah.
Why does every race have to be this superstar Game 7 moment? And some races are just races. And to me, I'm under the impression that it's not okay. It's the car, right? But those people that just want to blame this and blame that, what have we done with this car the least amount?
I mean, just change it, right?
Practice it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If we had the 3 years that we had this car, if this car had the benefit of the engineering, all process of those old cars, it's not allowing the same exact trajectory as that in this car. You take that practice away, you're taking all this. I'm sorry, I get it. Everyone's relying on this data and simulator stuff. I don't buy it.
It's not perfect.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I think if you had 3 full seasons of this car and you had it normal seasons of normal practices, I think you would at least have the top teams separated from the bottom teams by way more than 0.2.
I think so, yeah.
I think what Major was saying, like 5 cars ahead of him, they were running the same speed as the 5 cars behind him was. It's like, and the guy that they're talking about the speed, Bubba, was like, you're running 18th, but you're running just as fast as the leader. And everyone around you is running the same speed.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you get rid of that speed thing? By giving teams more time to get faster, to learn how to adjust their car, to give those gaps on the racetrack. I just really think practice. I just keep going back to practice with this car and learn more about the car instead of just during a race and talking about the controversy the whole time.
Yeah.
And then trying to knee-jerk react, fix it. I think it needed to be more of a slow and steady over these last 3 years. And by this point, I think we should have just said, okay, go on. You're walking now. Go run.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of didn't do it that way. Yeah. I think they ruined their opportunity. They did too many things, too choppy, I don't think, well, we know they weren't ready to bring it out, and then they had a post.
Yeah.
So this whole next-gen car was just sloppy and messy from the start, and I think that just carried on, and they try to mask it. They try to get on with the seasons. They try to move forward with the sport while having a car that I think everybody knew wasn't ready, and they told everybody, hey, well, this is what we got to do. We got to do it. Everybody know that it's not going to go great for now, but in the long run, maybe it'll change, and I think that's where the frustration with Denny's finally coming out, where he's like, hey, like, I'm getting to the point where, like, this shit ain't working out. Like, something's got to happen. Because I think they feel it just like we felt it. We said it. The sport has a rare opportunity. And I was so nervous that they're going to fumble the bag.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times I talked about on here about I was nervous that, hey, everything's going good. What is NASCAR going to do? Are they going to, like, hold on to it and harness it and propel it forward? Or are they going to blow it and cut it off at the knees? And by golly, I think we're right at that pivotal moment where are they going to cut this fucker at the knees, or are they going to, like, propel this thing to the moon? And right now, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of corner cutting too. Like, Aric, you touched on it, man. Like the no practice thing and simulation time. You know what simulators can't simulate? Real life track conditions.
Yeah.
They can't simulate electrical issues coming off the truck or mechanical issues coming off the truck. How many times have we seen in the first 10, 15, 20 laps a car exit the race because of some sort of mechanical issue that would have been found if they had the practice that they were supposed to be given? So, like, I agree, man. Like, it's cost cutting, it's corner cutting, and it's detrimental to the sport right now.
And then on top of it, like, so think back to the first season of the next gen car. What was exciting about it? Where every week it could be a new winner. We didn't know what was going on. The parity was what made that first season, like, really great. Then the second season, we see kind of the same amount of parity, but then you start seeing the problems with having too much parity in the field. You have guys who are supposed to be in the back running a second slower, only running 0.2 slower, and fucking holding up everyone else, you know? And then you get to the third season, and here we are. You know, the same issues are still here. Nothing's changing. But now the parody's been worn off, and we're like, well, we want the good guys to do good again. We want the dominant teams to start dominating, So it's like, I don't know.
Or is it this? Are we looking at this completely different?
We're just looking at different racing now, too.
No. Okay. So this is a whole new era in this car, right? This is the first time ever anybody besides the young newcomers in the last 2, 3, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Even 5 seasons, I'll say. It's this style. Maybe.
You just have to adapt.
Maybe. Yeah. All these guys that are used to being the best, used to running up front maybe Denny, maybe everyone that's at JGR, maybe everyone that's at Hendrick, maybe they got too used to being in the best equipment. And now when everyone's in the same equipment and talent,
yeah,
you need to drive and figure this car out, which guess who I think is doing that the best right now, which is Denny Hamlin and William Byron. I think they're figuring this car out the best and making it way through. But maybe all those guys that are bitching like those vets that, oh, this guy, this and that, oh, well, hey, this is the first time ever that you're basically racing even with everybody else, and your talent behind the wheel is the difference. And they don't like that because they liked having the ultimate advantage of driving for Hendrick or driving for Penske. And now that they don't have that huge advantage and they're not winning by this huge stretch and they're not winning every other weekend like they were used to doing, driving for the top teams, now they're getting frustrated. Now, you know what? In a way, I like that all these big dogs are getting the back marker treatment, essentially. Yeah. They're getting to know what it feels like to run week in and week out, never being able to get out of 22nd place. How do you like it, Denny? How do some of these drivers that are always running up front like to be just the same speed as everybody else? That's kind of a little bit of taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, it sounds like it doesn't feel too good, Like
right. Right. And so are they just bitching because they're not getting the ultimate advantage of being in one of the top teams anymore? And everyone is close. And it's like, hey, now they have to try harder? You know what I mean?
Now, at the same time, though, because it's like, yeah, every week you hear, oh, it's hard to pass. It's hard to pass. Well, it's always been hard to pass.
Figure out how to pass them. You're the best of the best.
I mean, where'd William Byron start the race this week? 18th, something like that. He passed a lot of cars. He got up there,
Right.
But
I just think they're getting stuck bitching. I think the drivers might be just getting too, I think they might have had it too good at the top.
Yeah. Now, here's the problem, though. At the same time, does that translate to a good product on television? Not really. So then you have the fans upset because well, that race sucked. No one could go anywhere. No one could pass anything and everything, and we saw a lot of it, a lot of anger on the internet this week. After all that rant about the car being not great and all that stuff, I think the race grades are probably going to surprise you coming up. But I didn't think it was that bad of a race like people made it seem to be. It's trending 37% right now on the Jeff Gluck poll. Matt, can you pull up that Jeff Gluck poll? But Aric,
I think it's even lower than that. Let me pull that up while you guys.
Let's start with your race grade this week because you want to what? I think you might be shocked at my race grade. I don't know about you guys. I think so though.
So, Jeff Gluck's poll is currently I was at 32. Yeah, it's at 32% said yes. So 68% said no. So not to mention not just that poll, but comments all over the place. People hated this race. People that I've talked to that aren't you two hated this race. I gave it a B-. Listen, the race was fine.
Yeah.
I get it. We all want the old Martinsville back. We all want the old short track racing back. And I want to be in the shape that I was when I was 25 years old. But some things just aren't going to happen.
Heard that.
You know what I mean? If you just readjust your expectations, you're going to go into these short tracks with you're going to come out of them with a lot better attitude. You're allowed to be frustrated at the idea that NASCAR is actively not doing anything to fix this. You're allowed to be upset with that.
Yeah.
But we're in year 3 of this, and you know what you're getting at this point? sit back and enjoy it. Lower those expectations. I'm not asking you to be complacent as a fan, but I'm just what you're getting at this point. So if you're expecting to go in and see like what we got at Bristol a couple weeks ago, listen, I hate to say this, and I hope I'm wrong. I try to be an eternal positive person, but we may not ever get that Bristol race again. That was an accident. They don't know how Goodyear and NASCAR has no idea how we produce such a great race at Bristol. So stop expecting that every time we come to a short track, because we've got more throughout the remainder of this year. Just take it as it is and sit down and try to enjoy it. You find little battles here and there. I didn't even think, and we're like the number one hater on Fox, I didn't even think Fox did a bad job this weekend. So you can't even blame the broadcast partner for not liking this race. We saw passing. We had some drama at the end. We had the Hendrick boys fighting over the win at the end of that race. We had some pit strategies play out. Was Denny went on a weird pit strategy before that last restart. Was that going to pay off for him or not? We had some drama. Like, it wasn't the end of the world, but I was completely shocked. As soon as the race ended, I had to get into dad mode, getting the baby ready for bed and everything. So it took me probably about, an hour and a half after the race had ended for me to jump on Twitter and kind of read what everyone's thoughts were. And I was completely shocked what people felt about this race, because it's not that like I sat there and thought that was a barn burner, that was one of the best races I've ever seen, but it was a perfectly fine C+, B- race.
Well, that's kind of what I have here down, Matt, as my notes when I was going through this. I gave it a B- as well. And I wrote down, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I also won't remember it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the ending was a little bit of drama filled, which kind of helped it. I was nervous at the edge of my seat. What's going to happen? Like you said, with the Hendrick boys, is Slick Willie going to blow it? You know what I mean? But like, up until that point, like you said, I knew what we were going to get into this race most of the time. And I'm like, okay, like, let's see who can manage this. Like, and then, like you said, the Fox booth did a good job at explaining, like, hey, this track is taking rubber like a son of a bitch all the way up in multiple lanes
we
now.
Have to
so
switch grooves.
You had to switch grooves. You couldn't run all the way down on the apron, or not the apron, the curb. You couldn't run the curb all the way down there, because guess what? Your right sides are in that rubber now. You need to find some other grips. You have to move up a little bit. And then that second group, you have to go up even higher and search around, diamond in, come out. That puts it back into the driver's hands. That's the driver searching and having to find. So if you know that, and I don't understand if you didn't, because the booth, like Matt said, was even explaining that. I think some of these people are just not paying attention. Are they not like paying attention to the race? Are they just thinking about it like, oh, they could just have this on and there's like a notification is going to go off on their phone, because that's what everyone expects now, and you're going to get a 30-second reel of what just happened in the race. That's what they want. They don't want to have to pay attention for 3+ hours to strategies by multiple teams. Yeah. And they just don't want to do that. I feel like the fan, and today, like the way we consume things and the way people want things changes. They want them fast. They want them now. Think about it, boys. We were around when you heard the and then your mom picked up the phone and you're like, son of a bitch, I'm trying to log on, Mom. Yes. And you had to wait a half an hour for your fucking computer to turn on
AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. So it's like, but now, shit, imagine some kid telling them they have to wait a half an hour for their phone to turn on.
Yeah.
Right.
They would flip out. They would snap out. So it's like, I think everyone's getting like that. I think the media is getting like that, where like they want this next gen car to be the 60-year engineered masterpiece that was the previous generation car up to that point. You're not going to get that now in 3 years. What do you mean you want it to be? Everyone wants it fixed and they want it done yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's just not reality. Well, I feel like I'm living in reality of this situation as well as you guys are, where we're like, okay, This is the reality. Short tracks are out for maybe the next few years, but half miles are awesome. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to run with that because guess what? When short tracks were awesome, I bitched at Kentucky. I bitched at all those 1.5 miles. Get them out of there.
Yes.
So it's like I was fine back then bitching at the 1.5 miles, but I enjoyed what was given to me. So guess what? Now it's opposite. So what am I going to do? The same though. I'm going to enjoy what's given to me and let it sort out when they sort it out. But there's still really good racing happening. And I feel like people just want to harp on what's bad right now versus just, it was okay. It was an okay race.
So you hit a lot of points I wanted to hit too. I got peer pressured today into giving this one a C/C+. But originally, as this race was winding down, I was like thinking to myself, this is about a B- race. Nothing great, nothing bad, completely average, you know? And just to your point, right? Couple years ago, there was, we want more short tracks. We want more short tracks, all this stuff, because short track racing was pretty good at that point, right? Like you said, though, intermediate racing was not good. And I understand if you go back to the old school fan loves short track racing. That's the bread and butter of NASCAR. It always was up until the late 90s when they started getting away from short tracks and going to these intermediates, right? Well, we kind of got burned out on intermediates and we're itching for those short tracks again, right? It's just bad timing with this new car. The new car is performing on intermediates the way we wish the old car performed on intermediates, right? And it's performing on road courses and short tracks terribly, where it's like,
they overcorrected.
Exactly. The pendulum we talked about it 3 seasons ago. The pendulum's been swinging back and forth, and we started adding all these road course races. You want to know why? Because the road courses were like our new short tracks, because you had the beating and the banging in the old generation of car. They were great. I didn't like road course racing. 2020 completely changed my mind. And that was the last year that we used that last car. And we saw some of the best races on road courses. And then we switched to next gen car designed like a sports car that should be giving us great road racing, and it isn't. So now it's a disappointment. But at the same time, we're getting those good intermediates. The problem is we've stripped a bunch of the intermediates from the schedule. So now we don't have them. So now we're hurting for good racing.
What do we always say on this podcast? Dog meat tail.
Yep.
It's the dog chasing its tail can never catch up to the tail because they're always trying to get after it. Just like Eric's saying, just let it come to you. It will come to you. Like I'm telling you, before they get this all situated, we're going to get a ton of intermediate tracks put on the schedule, not a lot of short tracks, and then the car's going to suck on intermediates, and we're going to be figuring out how to get short tracks back on the schedule.
Now,
I just think the media, like Gluck and those guys, it's not their fault that the world and that space that they are in it turned into everything you report on has to be bad news or
because
negative.
It gets clicks. Yeah, it gets clicks
so
and it gets
it's
engagement.
Not their fault, but then even they don't even realize that is what they're always constantly talking about because that is what they're doing, and then it's like, oh shit, they might not even realize how doom and gloom they are talking about it, but that's what gets the clicks and that's what makes the ratings. And
dude, they're the ones who get the ratings. They're the ones who drive the ad, whether they know it or not, and they have to know it. Like they're our sports influencers. They're the ones who are driving the way people feel. Dude, if I didn't have social media and I got done with that race yesterday and I just talked to you guys, I wouldn't think that there was a thing wrong with that race. But you jump online and these guys are all doom and gloom and all their listeners are like, oh shit, it's forming my opinion. Yeah. And it's negatively like, just what are we doing? Like, I don't know.
See, that's why I don't like to watch a lot of those podcasts either. And I usually don't before I do this show because I want my genuine reaction of what I felt on the race. And that's why I don't I'll listen to them later on afterward to see if whatever I say, if it changes my mind. And then the next week I'll be on there, hey, yeah, maybe I didn't think of it like that. I heard it's good to have other opinions in there. Yeah. It's good to hear their side of it. And, because a lot of times on here, you two will convince me otherwise when I hear it differently. So it's like, you do need that. But at the same time, man, I think that they do, Matt, kind of steer the direction a little more negatively, and that riles it up and that propels that to go. And then, like, I don't know, I think we just need a wave of just positivity. Like, I don't know, like, I like Bob. Like, before, like, Gluck became, like, the front runner for that kind of stuff, Bob was, like, that glimmer of light that you always had from the weekend.
Yeah.
He would post that little video after the race, under the lights, that little minute or 2 minute video.
Does it, and he still is that.
Like, it was always put in a positive light. He never shit on nobody. It was just, and you could tell it was this genuine thing where even if he did shit, it was in the nicest way possible, kind of. And, like, I don't know, like, I just feel like the whole space in like where we're getting our information is Twitter. And it is a lot of negativity and going that route. And I just think, like we talked about earlier before the show even started, bots and everything coming in, amplifying that and learning that. And then now it's just creating this thing where now the bot and the Twitter and the internet thinks that, like, the NASCAR fans hate the sport of NASCAR when it's only a select few constantly bitching and being the negativity out there.
And here's the thing, too. We're not making excuses, I don't think, for the state of short track racing because it's not that good. You know, it could be better. It needs to be better.
This isn't an excuse for that at all.
Yeah.
This is just fuck them for now. I'm going to enjoy what's good now.
It's curbing your expectations.
We have no choice but to at least try to enjoy what's given to us.
Exactly.
Like, we have no. It's like school lunch. Like, even though our high school had awesome school lunches,
we did have great school lunch. We had great school lunch.
You just learn to enjoy it because that's what's given to you. You have no choice.
So what I want to say is, like, we're on our 4th season right now. You go back the last 3 years and hear us bitching about the racing at Martinsville. You can hear us bitching about the racing at Richmond and the racing at Phoenix. And you know what we did this season for the most part? We curbed our expectations. We've gone into those races knowing, yeah, we're not going to see the best race. And guess what? Going in with those expectations where it's like, yeah, we haven't seen good racing here in a couple years. We're probably not going to see a great race. So as long as it's somewhat entertaining and somewhat engaging and keeping your focus, then yeah, I thought it was a good race. And I think there was enough in this race to keep me focused. Like Aric said, we had tons of different pit strategies going on at certain points. We saw that late race caution where it's like, oh, Denny Hamlin goes in and tries something. Tyler Reddick goes in and tries something, you know? There was little things throughout. We saw green flag pit stops at Martinsville. The threat of, like, oh, is something big going to happen? Is there going to be a caution? I remember during the race texting you guys, I forget at what point, but it was like, okay, right now, we're getting close to that pit window. I think we're going to see the aggression start pumping up, and then we're going to see guys start doing weird stuff. And guess who did weird stuff first? William Byron came to pit road, got fresh tires as quick as he could, beat everyone else. And guess what? He ended up beating everyone else. The guy started in 18th. You can't pass? Well, apparently he did. You know, maybe Fox didn't show all those passes. Maybe those passes happened on pit road. But then that's what you need to focus on during the race. That's why we thought Richmond was a good race last week, because we knew after the last couple of years, hey, this is going to be long green flag runs. This is going to be pit strategy, and this is going to be fuel calls and getting on different strategies. And what did we see last week? That same shit. You know, that's what made it enjoyable. Same with Phoenix a couple weeks ago. It's about knowing what you're going to. No, you can't expect a perfect short track race after years of not getting a perfect short track race, and then be mad you didn't get a perfect short track race.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And to my point, while we were talking, I just looked up the results of the last Martinsville races with the last generation of car, just to see. I was just curious. So here we go. 2019, Brad Keselowski won in the spring. 446 laps led. I mean, that speaks one for itself.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Let's see. 2020, during the pandemic. Let's see. This is the November race. Chase Elliott won, led 5 times, 236 laps. There was other guys that led a good chunk of laps. Martin Truex Jr. led 4 times for 129 laps. Everyone else kind of rode like double-digit laps, you know? But still, 2 major leaders that race. That was the playoff cutoff race before going into the championship 4. The spring race from 2020, we saw Martin Truex Jr. win. He led 132 laps. 4th place, Joey Logano led 5 times for 234 laps. Let's see, who's this? Jimmy Johnson led once for 70 laps. So it's not like we don't see tons and tons of green flag laps. And guess what we saw at Martinsville this week? We saw William Byron lead 2 times for 88 laps. Oh, we didn't even get into this. 2 hours, 52 7 seconds. We saw 5 cautions for 51 laps, 13 lead changes among 8 different drivers. And of those 13 lead changes, we saw Chase Elliott lead 3 times for 64 laps. We saw Joey Logano lead twice for 84 laps. We saw Denny Hamlin lead 3 times for 66 laps. We saw a lot more spread out leaders yesterday than we saw in the last generation of car when short tracks were good, quote unquote good, and we were all calling for more short tracks.
Right.
So
I think people just are going with the flow of what everyone else is saying, and they're not formulating their own opinion by using their own eyes by what they're watching on Sundays. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're paying it. I don't think people are paying attention.
I don't think so
I
either.
really don't. And I just think they're looking at a poll, and I do agree, and we've mentioned this before on here, that I think a yes or a no is not a good poll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's check the
There's a lot of
iceberg
times
one.
when we grade it, our B's, our C's, our D's, we all relatively know where we stand as far as they go. And, like a yes or no is kind of harsh. You know what I mean? But I feel like he likes that, because then he can either go the way he really wants it or the way he really doesn't.
Yeah.
I think Gluck likes it to be that way or not. Because then it leaves
either
them
good or it
either
wasn't.
one
There's
way-
no in between. There's no great or
Exactly.
average.
Yeah.
And I agree. So I like to check the iceberg on YouTube's poll. He has 13 votes right now. I'm going to vote it as average. And that's what we got. We got 25% good, 9% great, 44% average, 15% below average, and 7% bad.
How many votes is on that one?
13,000.
Okay.
So a good chunk. So
Yeah.
I think maybe it is
I
a
think
vote
we're more in line with what people really think. I really do.
where nothing great, nothing special, completely average. Do short tracks need work? Yes. Does Martinsville need work? No, the track's fine. The car needs work at Martinsville. Again, we've known this for 3 seasons.
I've got bad news for everyone. Well, to everyone who has a negative attitude. We've got Texas next week.
You want to know what though?
Might be a great show.
I'm optimistic about
I'm
Texas.
looking forward
I'm
to it.
looking
Yep,
forward
I
to
am
it.
too.
And you
I
wanna-
am too.
And you want to know what? I'm just trying to be more positive for NASCAR weekends, anyways. Because
right. And it's helped tremendously. I really do believe that. And that's why I think these people aren't paying attention, and they're not really changing their way they're consuming. And we've been very, very big on getting that out there to the people that maybe listen to this show, saying, start consuming it differently.
Yeah.
We've given you options of how we all consume this, and it helps.
At the same
Dude,
time, though, I want to know from.
Go ahead. Sorry.
At the same time, I want to know from the listeners right now. Hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Facebook. Are we the crazy ones? Are you listening to us right now? Like, oh, these guys are fucking insane. That was terrible. It was the worst race I ever saw.
Dude, and typically, so I had distractions yesterday. Like, my race didn't go distraction free, and typically that's what ends up negatively affecting my race grade, is if I'm just got too much going on in my personal life where it took me away for a stage or whatever. Yeah. And I still found the race, I don't want to use the word enjoyable, but it wasn't not enjoyable. It was enjoyable. It was a fine race. Like, there's like enjoyable you could use as a broad scope, and I would list yesterday's race as an enjoyable race. It wasn't an amazing race, but like it was enough where like
I had a good time watching
my attention when I didn't have when I wasn't pulled away for a minute or two, Yeah,
I thought it was interesting. My driver didn't do the greatest, but like I was still engaged. I was engaged in the whole Hendrick Motorsports storyline, which I mean, Fox really stroking the shit out of Hendrick, though. I'll tell you what. Yeah. But at the same time,
I really believe that a lot of the poll had to do with that.
Probably. I bet you.
I think some people that can't stand Hendrick were like, dude, I was so sick of hearing about it.
Yeah. But there's other stuff. Like I'll just start kind of talking about some of the race notes though. I was enjoying watching Chase Elliott lead, where I'm like, oh, Chase is finally back. He's finally doing it. You know, I was hoping Chase would beat and bang William Byron a little bit more on that last restart. Now I understand they're teammates, so I get not wanting to fuck up the race for both you guys. I enjoyed watching Bubba Wallace all day long. Like, I thought that was super interesting, where it's like, oh, is he finally going to get him? And yeah, it was hard to pass lap cars, but like, it wasn't that fucking hard. How many people finished on the lead lap? Like 14, you know?
Okay, I think we talked about this before. I don't know if it was in this context, though. Are the influx of these new, younger fans that NASCAR has been trying to get, let's say college, you know, young 20-year-old kids or whatever.
On Twitter, yeah.
I remember back when I was that age and I was a fan of NASCAR back then, I had a different outlook. Completely different outlook.
You want to see action packed.
My driver, and I hated every single other driver in that field.
Yeah, that's true.
I first started liking NASCAR, because you're told pick a driver. So you pick a driver. And then now in your head, if you're a sports person, you're like, fuck everybody else. My driver's going to win today. You know, I'm all out for my driver. And like, you root hard for your driver. At least I did. Mm-hmm. I rooted hard for my driver, and I rooted hard against everyone else's driver.
Yeah.
I was ruthless. I was tackling people after school for where there's candies, telling Jeff Gordon sucked. You know what I mean? Like, and I just thinking now, maybe we are just changing as fans and growing as fans to where we are fans of the sport now, and we're arguing with fans of drivers.
Yeah.
I think us three are arguing for the sport to be better. We're hoping everyone's driver does well, because we know that if this driver does well and that driver does well, their sponsorship and everything is good for the totality of the sport of NASCAR. So collectively, we root for everybody because we like the sport to grow as a whole. When back then, from when I was 18 years old to 25 years old, man, I feel like it was my driver or nobody's.
Plus,
and I looked at it, and the ending of races, interactions, altercations, that's the way it was.
Plus, you go back to earlier, we were talking about parity, where it's like now it's a lot easier for a good driver not to have a good day. And some mid-pack guy is in the top 10, like Todd Gilliland is taking up your driver's spot. Now you're pissed off about it. So instead,
and I like that.
I like it too. Now, again, I understand it's hard to pass though too, where it's like, well, you only got up there because of pit strategy, and then like once you're in fifth, and you're not moving from fifth. But like, I don't know. There's ways he got there. Watch that storyline. Enjoy that storyline. I don't know. I think it's just a perspective thing. Or we're just off our rockers and we're just being too positive about everything. But I don't think we are.
Nope.
So let's get a little negative. Even though I feel like we were kind of a little negative either. But let's do the checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
This show is all out of order today, and I love it. Let's see. Since it's
the eclipse, man. We're all thrown off.
That's why. Oh man, yeah. Did you guys get a chance to see the eclipse? You get your little glasses?
Yeah, a little bit. It was cloudy. I mean, we're all in the same area. It was cloudy, but little windows here and there.
So,
little windows.
So someone at work
it got dark and it got cold out. That's what was cool about it.
It did get cold. That was interesting. Because I went out in a t-shirt right around that time. Like, oh, it says it's 60 out and it doesn't feel like 60. But someone had the glasses at work, so we were like trying that, and there was a perfect moment where the cloud opened up perfectly and you could see it. And I accidentally looked at it just a little bit without those glasses. I had a little headache for a couple hours. Sorry, Mom. She was warning me all morning. Don't look at it without the glasses.
Well, I did it on accident because it was cloudy, like Matt said. So I pull in my driveway after work, and I know usually around where the sun is at my house. So it gets cloudy. I'm like, okay, the sun's probably right around. And then the clouds moved right there. Yep, there's the sun. It blasted me right in the eyes. As soon as the cloud moved, I was looking right at where it was.
Well, I had the glasses. You can't see shit out of the glasses because they're completely black unless the sun's shining right
blue
at them.
blockers. I had a pair of sunglasses on. Nothing special, but
So
I have welding glasses.
And someone told me like, oh, you'll be able to see it through the clouds. The rays will come through the clouds. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I put it on. I'm like, I can't see shit. And I lift it. I'm like, oh, there it is. But yeah, let's jump into the checkers and wreckers. Matt, let's start with you. What was your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
So, real quick, just to kind of piggyback off what you guys were just saying about Fox sucking off HMS. Checkers is HMS. Not for, and I don't need to get into it. We all know it's just the 40th anniversary of Rick Hendrick's first win with what was then All-Star Racing, and all 4 drivers showed up, and Slick Willie brought home another clock to Mr. H, and that's my checkers.
Really cool to see.
Just cool,
First time ever. 1, 2, 3. Like we watched history.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and you want to know what? Man, poor Alex Bowman. Because he was there. He was there all day long. Just a couple spots. You just need a couple more spots.
The cars all looked bad fast too, with that red ruby red,
candy apple red or whatever.
Yeah. And how about your records? What's your records for the weekend?
Oh, okay, boys. Well, every sport is different, right? But you can find commonalities in every sport as well. So. Football had Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell. Basketball had Greg Oden and Markelle Fultz. NASCAR has Austin Dillon. What are they all? They're all busts.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon was a lap down in 33rd position before my ass even hit the couch yesterday, while his teammate was battling for 10th. The guy has more pit crew changes than JTG Daugherty has sponsors. He's averaging 24.3 place start and a 26.8 place finish this year. He's got 4 wins in what's now his 11th full-time Cup season, half of which came at a super speedway. All I'm saying is put someone in that 3 that will actually give the number the respect it's earned, because I'm sick of it. He's terrible, and it's just he doesn't want to be there. He clearly doesn't want to be there, and that's it. That's it's just I'm sick of Austin Dillon.
You know what? Going back to the news where Justin Alexander is returning as his crew chief. He's the only crew chief that's gotten wins for Austin Dillon. I want to know, how good of a crew chief is Justin Alexander? And we just don't know it because he's Austin Dillon's crew chief. Like, is he some first ballot Hall of Fame type crew chief? But because his driver isn't any good, like he only makes it to victory lane every 3 years? You know?
Dude, his finishing position is worse than his starting position. That's not good for somebody who's been in the Cup Series for 11 frickin' seasons now.
No. Might as well, you want to know what? You might as well put Corey LaJoie in that car. You're going to get the same results.
I think it's going to be worse. That's where I'll take Austin Dillon.
How about you, Eric? What's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
Well, my wreckers is Corey LaJoie. So, right in. We saw him finish. I think it was 32nd before my ass hit the couch. He was already multiple laps down, and it was just funny because Whitey, I might let you take over here. What went down before the race in practice and whatnot. It was just funny. It was just so everyone just the hope there's so much hope and for him, and it just comes crashing down every week.
So I was listening to practice and qualifying on the radio, and it was right after Corey LaJoie's group finished practicing. He was P1 on the board for one fast lap, I guess. I didn't see his averages. They might have been okay. But he was being interviewed, and he was talking about how he finished dead last week, 3 or 4 laps down. I can't remember for sure. And he was talking about how all week he's like, that really affects you. Like you start wondering, can I do this? And then he's like, it gets the confidence back to have to be first place in practice, knowing that we're fast and all that. And then he went out and he qualified, 32nd, I believe.
And he finished there too.
And he finished 32nd. So, and hold on. And you know what? Here's what makes it even worse. I'll tell you what. that Carson Hocevar in that 77 car, he qualified 25th, finished 17th, was running pretty consistent all day. I think he only finished a lap down because of finally being lapped like late. So
I was going to I said my records. I was going to give my bonus checkers to Carson Hocevar because of that. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. One of my bold predictions was he's going to outrun Corey LaJoie, and LaJoie's going to be gone, and Hocevar is going to be the face of Spire.
Yeah.
And up to this point, it's happening. Hocevar has been running really well and outrunning that 7. So that wasn't my checkers, but I gave my checkers to Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Just for the pure fact of, people that don't like these type of races, watch Denny Hamlin, because to me, he made a lot of these, whoever thought boring races, he was an intricate part in making them exciting.
Yeah.
Because he's good at tire management. He's good at not abusing those tires. So if you know that, you wait. And what does Denny do? He's like a shark in the water. And at the end of a run, here comes Denny.
Yep.
And he starts picking guys off because he saved his tires. And he just works his way up to the front. Like, oh my God, is Denny going to catch him? And, most of the time they don't end up catching them and passing them. But that adds to the excitement. It adds to, the overall feel of the race being a little bit better than maybe you thought it was. So, I love how the booth brought that up and talked about how good Denny was at doing that. And, that is what I'll tell you as a viewer to look at. And what I am watching when I'm watching some of these races is, you might think, oh, Denny's in 22nd right now. What's going on? Why aren't you watching the leaders up front? Well, I'm not watching the leaders up front because I know Denny is going to put on a show on his way from 22nd on these old tires over a long run, and you watch him catch it. So it's just impressive what Denny Hamlin has done in this new car at these short tracks and managing the tires. And he's just been above anybody else in this field so far this season, and it's tough to do. So I appreciate that skill, and I just had to give Denny kudos for once again. He didn't get it done. The late race caution, whatever, took him out of it. But up until that point, he did what he needed to do in that race to keep himself up front and get up front and manage his tires.
Can I add to that too? Because I think it was you, Matt, in the group chat when he did it. He pitted on that last caution with just a green white checker to go. And he was one of the only ones to do it. He pitted, Tyler Reddick,
Eric Jones and Tyler Reddick.
Yeah. And I think, Matt, you're like, oh, this is a dumb move. And it turned out to be a dumb move. I
thought it was a dumb move too.
It didn't make any difference, but I have to applaud him for at least trying something different.
True.
And I think that goes into the whole view of these races too, where it's none of these crew chiefs are really trying anything wild, where at least
Well, that's what Austin Dillon said that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then in one of his real rants that he was going on the radio that I saw,
and stuff, right?
He's like, he goes, every week we come here with the same setup, same strategy. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So part of it's oh, okay. And I always think the petty route there where it's are they just holding it in to collect a check type of thing? And are you just coming every week with the same shit?
So I again, it didn't work out for him. I gotta applaud him though, where at least he's trying to do something different. And it did work out for Tyler Reddick because he made up 3 spots on that restart, whether that's through beating and banging or whatever. But I was surprised more people didn't try something in that moment too.
Well, you know what it was with us,
cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, there was 13 cars in the lead lap, and we were right at the tail end. No matter what, we're coming out.
Back, yeah. So
right there, 13th. It was a win-win for us. And now if there's another late race caution, we have tires, we stay out. So that's why I said I think Denny, I think the 45 and the 43 all pitted in hopes for a second caution.
I think so too. But that was another little interesting thing in the race where it's
do it. Yeah.
No, I agree. And then my checkers, I'm giving it to not Slick Willie 3 clocks, but his crew chief, Rudy Fugle. Just a hell of a job on the pit box. He called him in first, jumped the whole entire group. I feel like once William Byron and Rudy started clicking again because, of course, he was his crew chief back in the Truck Series. That's when William Byron really started to flex and show his talent. And man, 3 race wins already this season, and we're only 8 races in. Like this is a combination that is going to cause some problems for the rest of the season, and I'm here for it. And then he
also won Texas too, so we're going. That's where we're going.
Good to know. Good to know for fantasy this week. And then my wreckers, I really had a hard time finding something to wreck, so I stole this off of a guy who called into the morning drive. It was honestly something I didn't notice, but when I went back and looked at it, it was kind of a big gaffe. Josh Berry's pit crew, got to give it to him. He had a really great car. He got stage points in both stages, running top 10. And he had 2 pretty bad pit stops that kind of ruined their day. He ended up finishing 25th, 2 laps down. And even Rodney Childers, in an interview I saw on Twitter, kind of blamed the pit crew for giving that one away. Not the win, but just a good finish away. And it's been interesting to see how well Stuart Haas kind of has been running here and there. And it sucks when they get a good day cut short from them because of bad
they still
pit stops.
ran well as a team. Ford still ran well, like I think we expected them to. They showed a little bit more this week. They didn't get a win or what they wanted out of the weekend, but I think over these last couple weeks, I think Ford definitely stepped up. Blaney, he was in the back getting roughed up.
Yeah.
I had him in my garage in fantasy, and next thing you know, he's up battling for the top 5. I'm like, what is going on?
I remember texting him, I'm like, where the hell did Blaney come from? Because we've been talking about it the last couple weeks. Blaney and Logano, they find a way. That's why he's a goddamn. That's why they're both of them are champions. But yeah, Aric, how did that happen too? It was like a little bit of pit strategy. Took 2 tires instead of 4.
Yep.
Like that's interesting to me. That's
he
the stuff.
gained 13 spots on pit road, I think, to get up there.
And that's what you have to do. If you can't pass on the track, figure out how to pass them on pit road.
Right.
Ryan Blaney did it, so like, I don't know. You got to try some stuff in these races. But that, what's up?
You know what's messed up? Sorry. That whole rant, I was probably quiet. Like if you're listening to audio, where the hell's Statman Matt? I was looking at some William Byron stats because I want to know how many clocks he's got at this point through all the series. Because we're calling him Slick Willie 2 clocks, but how many clocks does he have? Did you know, and this is just a side rant, did you know he only won 4 Xfinity races? Not at Martinsville, in his Xfinity career? I thought I remembered him being dominant in the Xfinity series.
Well, he won his championship, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wasn't watching back then, to be honest with you, so I have no idea.
I don't know. Sorry. He has 8 Truck Series wins. I mean, he was pretty dominant in the Truck Series.
But
Here's the thing. He's Slick Willie 3 clocks.
Here's the thing, though. He didn't spend a whole lot of time in those series either, And like a lot of the really good drivers right now, like the young drivers, like Bell, Reddick, him, Chase Elliott, they didn't spend a lot of time in the Xfinity series like some of these other guys did either.
2 seasons at most. 2 seasons at most. Those guys, yeah.
Yeah. So that's really not that shocking to me, but it feels weird because you're like, man, he's doing so well now,
Right.
But you have to think, how old is he? He's what, 25 still? He's
17, I think.
I think so. Something like that. That is really interesting though. How old is William?
I just thought I remembered him dominating. Like he was definitely part of it. Like when I said earlier in the episode how Xfinity like had this run of like domination, he was part of what I was including in there, and I just thought he won more.
That 20 of Joe Gibbs always dominated in Xfinity. Yeah, that 20 car and Joe Gibbs was just for a couple seasons there between like EJ Bell coming through there. Like they were just. I mean, those seasons did they run full time? Because I remember getting mad at one point where as soon as EJ went full time in Cup, I got pissed that they weren't letting him run that 20 car back down in Xfinity still. Because I thought that was hurting him because he did so well in that. Why not give him the extra seat time and everything? But at the time, that was the pipeline. There was you were out of that ride, someone new was in there, and that was
just
yeah.
You know why? You know why he might have seemed more dominant too? That was still kind of the era where there was like a lot of guys coming down from the Cup Series to race still, right?
True. Yeah.
And like I'm looking at the championship 4 from the year he won. Elliott Sadler came in second, Justin Allgaier came in third, and then Daniel Hemrick came in fourth. And the only one of those guys that had wins was Justin Allgaier with 2 wins. You know, so like
that seems about right.
yeah, kind of. So
yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's
because then you get Brad and Joey coming down in that 22 Penske winning it every other week down there.
That's the thing. Like there's
Kyle was always winning.
84 drivers got points that season in the Xfinity series. So like, yeah, even Josh Berry ran a race that year, came in 34th, but like I think there's a lot of part-time guys. So it's probably why it seemed a little more dominant. I want to look more into that season though, see who else won those races. But fellas, that's all I have for this race weekend. Do you have anything else to add or?
No, I think we gave it a good fucking go today, boys.
All right. Well, like, unlike most podcasts, every podcast loves to talk about the winner on a Monday. One William Byron. We've really just kind of talked about the track and the state of short track racing and NASCAR in general this week. But we have to talk about the loser, and that was one David Starr. He was in the field this Sunday. Didn't do much because his day ended with steering issues on lap 311. I think he got lapped on lap 11.
He was getting roughed up. He was getting roughed up out there. I feel like every time I saw that poor guy out there, he was getting roughed up.
I don't even know what car number it was in, to be honest with you.
66. It was like 66. A blue and yellow car and white, and he just kept. Oh man, he was getting roughed up.
Poor guy. It wasn't his weekend.
No.
It wasn't his weekend.
Having a rough one for old David Starr. And then, like Matt mentioned earlier, we're heading to Texas, this time at Texas Motor Speedway. Trucks on track Friday, 8:30 on FS1 for the Speedy Cash speedcash.com 250. Got to make sure you get that .com in there so people know where to go for the website. We're available at bumpnrunpod.com if you want to tell your friends. Xfinity on track Saturday, 1:30 on FS1 for the Andes Frozen Custard 300. I tell you what, we're starting to get into that springtime weather. I almost went for Custard last night after the race, get a little sweet treat. And then Cup on track Sunday, 3:30 on FS1 for the Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400. Fellas, to recap the race, oh man, the picks from last week. Well, Aric, you did really well. You picked Joey Logano. He got you 42 points. He pulled off a top 5 for you. Matt, you picked Ryan Blaney. He got you 32 points. He was one spot behind Joey Logano. And then if you go back and you listen to last week's episode, I'm going back to my old short track pick, but I also at one point said I was going to pick William Byron, but he didn't run well at Richmond. And that's why I was going back to back to Christopher Bell. And that got me a whopping 2 points. Seabell having 2 rough weeks in a row. He almost got my records for a second week.
Shame on us for not picking Slick Willie 2 clocks.
Right?
Shame on us. We should record. Actually, that is the records. All of us.
Collective records.
Collective records on us.
For how many times we've gone, we're picking Martin Truex Jr. because it's Martinsville. And we didn't pick Slick Willie 2 clocks. To win a 3rd clock, man. Anyways, I pick first. Matt, you pick second. Aric, you pick third. We're heading to Texas. We're back at 1.5 miles. And I think I'm going to go with a Hendrick Motorsports car. But this time, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson to get the win in Texas.
Whitey, we just got, first of all, thank you.
Yeah.
We just got done saying how shame on us for not picking Slick Willie 3 clocks. We just got done saying it. Guy in the past, how many 3 races, the past 4 races at Texas, 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s, a win, and he's got the most points at Texas out of the field with 169 points in the last 4 races. I am taking the guy who I haven't taken since week 2. Shame on me. Slick Willie 3 clocks becomes Slick Willie 2 shooter.
Okay. All right. I like it.
I'll tell you what. I'm glad you boys saved my driver who I wanted to pick here, because I've been hot on them lately. I've been talking them up. You know, these Fords, they're coming alive. You know, we're talking about Logano and we talk about Blaney, how they're coming around at the end. Well, there's another Ford team that everyone is talking about, and we have been talking about them. And I got to looking before I knew where we were going here this week. Texas. All right, April 14th. All right. Wonder when the last Texas race was on April 14th, 2012.
All right.
12 years ago. And you know what organization won that?
Team Penske.
No. You know who won that race?
RFK.
Roush Fenway Racing. And I'm going with one number ahead of the guy that won that race.
Oh, we're going with Chris Buescher, the Texas Wow.
From Prosper,
like
Texas, with a population of 44,000.
I'm going with Chris Buescher because Greg Biffle was the last one in 2012 on April 14th to win a race.
Fuck,
I love it.
Fuck you. You know why? Fuck you. Because I had the Biff stat saved and I forgot about it. I was gonna get you with the Biffle fact. You motherfucker. Not only
I love getting absolutely slapped in the face with Biff stats. Oh my! I got sucker punched by a Biff stat there. That was amazing.
Here's the bright side though. This is a different Biffle fact. This was just a cool NASCAR fact of the day. Greg Biffle was only 36 points away from becoming the only driver in history to win a championship in all three top series of NASCAR. Yeah. He won a truck championship, he won a Busch championship, but he lost the cup to Tony Stewart in 2005 by 36 points.
Oh, fun fact. 2005, he won in Texas.
He just needed Tony to DNF and it would have been his.
Yeah. I am so biffed up right now.
Every April 14th, I'm going to think of Greg Biffle now.
Mark it down. April 14th, Greg Biffle Day in America. Boys, we are 8 races into the 2023 season. Your playoff picture, it's looking small still. I think this is the most repeat winners we've had in the next gen era this early on in a season. William Byron, Slick Willie, 2 clocks, 3 clocks now. He's got 3 wins on the season. Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Denny Hamlin also has 2 wins on the season. They're all locked into the playoffs. Who will it be on Sunday? Will it be Slick Willie 3 clocks with 2 in a row? Will it be... I'm sorry, Matt. Who did you pick?
Oh, that's okay. I picked William Byron.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aric. Who did you pick? You picked Chris Buescher. We just got done talking about it. And who did I pick? Kyle Larson. Will it be Chris Buescher, the Texas native? Will it be Kyle Larson getting his 2nd win of the season? Or will William Byron go 2 in a row, 2 weeks in a row? We will find out this Sunday, 3:30 on FS1, and we'll break it on down for you. What is that, Greg Biffle? What the fuck? We'll break it on down for you next Monday night right here on the Bumper Run Podcast. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Aric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out on the fun, baby.
Oh, missing out.
The Bumper Run.
There it is.